Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Python 3 Crash Course. My name is Nick from Coffee Before Arch, and today we're going to continue our foray into object-oriented programming in Python. And the way we're going to extend what we worked on last time when we talked about classes is with inheritance. So in the last video we talked about encapsulation, which is where we take like things and we put them in one convenient type object. So in that case, we looked at a coordinate object that held an x and y position. So in that case, instead of having to manually have a bunch of variables that were, say, x and y, x and y, x and y, we could have just a coordinate that had both x and y in it. So it's a way of putting things together that has some kind of meaning when they're grouped. And we'll continue that further by looking at inheritance, where in this case we're going to look at a hierarchy starting with animals. So when we're talking about inheritance, what we generally are referring to is this ability to share things across different objects that are related. So in this case we're going to look at animals, and so we'll have basically our main parent class of animals, and it will contain things that all animals share, and then we'll have child classes below that will contain things that are very specific to that particular child. So we'll look at one for cat, another one for people, and then we'll further extend this inheritance to having a subset of people that is also students. And so students, all students are people, so it'll inherit everything from the person class, and then all persons are also animals, so it'll inherit everything from that class. So just because it's a little hard to think about this just all in your head, let's go ahead and look at this example of animals.py. Already open. So we'll start out with a very simple class, right? So this will be a class for animals. This will be our parent class for this example. So we'll have an init method. This will be the method that gets called whenever we make a new variable of this class type. So every animal has an age, how old it is, and it also has, we'll say it also has a name. So this will be something shared by every animal, and then we'll make some methods for getting age and getting name, as well as setting age and setting name. Now it's a good idea to usually have an interface to access the data attributes of your class, and this is just because it can get very, very messy if you are doing things in an inconsistent fashion. So if in some ways or in some places you're, say, modifying data attributes directly by accessing self.age, it can be a little confusing if in other places maybe you're accessing data attributes and changing them via some method. So a lot of times we like to restrict the way we access things as through interface methods like this. So let's look at our first example of inheritance. So let's look at cats. So cats are all animals. So we'll go ahead and we'll do the way we can specify this inheritance is by doing class cat, and then within the parentheses we'll say animal. And this says that cat inherits from the class animal. And we can inherit from multiple classes, but in this case we'll just inherit from the animal class. So in this case, we'll define a new method for speak. So this is something that will only be accessible within the cat class. It won't be accessible if we have another a variable that's of the type animal, only if it's of the type cat. And then we'll also override this string right here, so this underscore string underscore, and we'll do that so when we print out the cat object, it will say cat plus the name of the cat plus the age of the cat, separated by colons. Now here's another example of inheritance. So again, we'll inherit from animal, and this time we'll override the init method. So in this case, because we didn't specify an init method, it will go ahead and use the init method from animal. So we don't even need to write any code for that. It'll automatically do it. Now in this case though, we want to create a new init method, and we'll call the original animal init method, but then we also in here we want to have a new data attribute, and that's going to be this friends. So people can have friends, so we'll create an empty list right here. And then we'll also change speak, so we'll have a new method for speak, that'll be different from the one from animal. So this time, if we access something from the class person, it will say hello if we tell it to speak. And then we'll add a couple new methods for adding friends. So we can add a friend to the list. And then we can also do a difference of ages. So we can take two different person classes and we can call age diff, and we can get the difference of their ages and print it out. And then again, we'll override this string method in order to print out not only the name and the age, but also how many friends they have. So the length of their friends list as a data attribute. And this time we'll show that we can also have, multiple levels of inheritance. So right now we've just been looking at, we've got animals up here, and then we have cat inherits from animal, and person inherits from animal. Now we can also have student that inherits from person that also inherits from animal. So if right here, we don't need to specify we're inheriting from animal. That'll be implicit because person inherits from animal, student that inherits from person will also inherit from animal. So in this case, what we'll do is we'll have a new init method, and this time we'll call the person's init method, and then we'll also have a unique data attribute just for students, which is a major. So every student will have a major. Now, then we'll also add a new method for changing major. We'll override the speak method up there by saying, hey there fella, instead of hello. And then, of course, we'll do another modification of the string method to instead say the name, the age, or number of friends, and then also what your major is. So let's look at an example of actually using these classes. So over here, we'll create first a basic animal, so not any particular animal, and we'll just use the animal class, and it'll take an age and a name. So 3 years old, and the name's Teddy, but it's just a generic animal. Now then we'll use the cat class, and it'll use the same constructor method as the animal class, so it'll take a name and an age and a name. And so this time we'll pass in 7 and sprinkles. Then we'll create a person, and let's say we're creating the legendary mathematician, John von Neumann. So we'll go ahead and create a new person, and it'll take an age and a name, so 30 and John von Neumann. Now student, we'll create one of those, so it'll create, say, me, so I'm 24, my name's Nick, and my major that I'm doing my PhD in is computer engineering. So remember, this is a different init method, a different number of arguments for this init method for student. Now, to show that how inheritance is useful is every single one of these different classes can still access the set age method that's in the animal class, and that's because they're all derived at some level from animals. So cat and person are both directly derived from animal, and then student is derived but at a deeper level. So it goes animal to person to student, but it's still derived from animal. So all of these can use something that's only defined in that parent class. Now, over here, only person and student have access to this add friend method, and that's because this add friend method is defined within the person class, and so person can use it, and then student inherits from the person class, so the student class can use it. But say cat or animal can't use that method because neither of those derive from the person class. And then finally, this change major is only for it's only valid for the student class because it's defined in the student class, and no other class inherits from the student class. So let's say we're going to change our major from computer engineering to computer science. That's not much of a difference, but we'll just do that for fun. So then we'll also print all of these, and the string method will show that why it's important to sometimes change this, as we've already saw in the last video. So basic animal will print some mess, cat will print the just the name and age, person will print the name, age, and number of friends, and then student will print the name, age, number of friends, as well as the major. Now, it's important to note that we reset all the ages right here to 1, so you'll see a lot of 1s in here. So let's go ahead and save this, and we'll run it. So Python3 animals.py. So we'll print something nasty because we didn't override that string method for animal. Now for cat, it'll use the one we defined there. So cat sprinkles age 1. So we use the set age there. Over here, we did person John von Neumann, age 1, and the number of friends is 1. So we set, going back here, so we added 2 friends here. So let's say that John von Neumann is friends with Richard Feynman. And then let's just say for fun that I'm friends with Linus Torvalds, right? The creator of the Linux kernel. So he's got 1 friend, and then we printed out mine. So I am 1 year old. After we use that set age, that from the animal class, I have 1 friend, and then I have my major is computer science. So that's going to be the basics of classes with inheritance. We can have multiple levels of inheritance, and it can be really useful because we don't need to, say, define a get age or a set age for every single one of these classes. We can just define it for one class, and when we start doing very complicated things, this can be a very useful feature. So that's going to do it for today. For example, if we go ahead and go on github.com/coffeebeforearch, we have all of our videos that, or links to all of our videos and all the code used in these series. So the one on C++, on GPU programming with CUDA, our architecture overview videos where we look at research, and then, of course, the Python3 ones. So we have links to all of the videos as well as all the code relating to those videos. Then if we go to fundamental concepts and we go to classes and under inheritance, we have the file that we looked at today, animals.py. So feel free to download this, play around with it for yourself. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to make a video if there's a specific topic that you still don't understand. So just let me know. So like I said earlier, I'm Nick, and I hope you have a nice day.